What is going on, guys? It's PC Gaming Guide here. I'm back after a little break, but in this video I'm going to be going over how to increase FPS in Hyper Scape. It's obviously a new game and a lot of people are into it, and I've actually had a lot of fun playing this as well, so I thought I'd make a quick little guide on it. So first of all, we're going to go into the game and change some in-game settings. Once you've started up your game, press the escape button, come over here to settings, and then come over to video, and this is where we're going to be changing a bunch of things depending on how many FPS you're getting already. So first of all, like most games, you should be playing in full screen mode. I have seen the FPS be affected quite a bit playing in windowed or borderless, so just make sure you're playing in full screen mode. Resolution 1920 by 1080, unless you're really struggling for FPS or you do like different resolutions. I know some people play at 1440 by 900. Honestly, wouldn't go much lower than that, but I like to keep it at 1920 by 1080 because it is a pretty cool looking game, and if your computer can handle it, I'd suggest it, but if it can't, just keep bumping this down until it's playable. Next, the refresh rate. You have two options right now. Most games have more than two, but apparently this one only has one. I have my monitor is 144 Hertz, so I'm gonna leave it at 144 Hertz. But if you're 60, just make sure it's on 60. I have some people who start up the game when they have 144 Hertz monitors, and it's actually stuck to 60, and they're not sure why. It's a quick, simple fix of just clicking this, and the game will feel much better. Don't have to do anything with monitor. VSync, I still don't know why this is really put in a lot of games, but just make sure this is off unless you for some reason have a VSync monitor and then turn this on. I've never once in a game turned this on, so yeah. Aspect ratio, I would just leave this on auto for now, and then widescreen letterbox doesn't really make a difference either, so we're just going to move on to field of view. And like it says here, anything above 60, you guys might just start to see some graphical issues, so you can turn this down to 60, or I play it around 65. Brightness doesn't have anything to do with it, but I play around 65, and I've had no real issues. I kind of have a mid-range PC, so anything 65 and below you guys should be safe with. And then overall quality is custom right now because we're going to be changing all of these down below. First off is animation quality, and this actually has quite a bit of effect on the FPS. A few, probably 10 FPS ish from all the way up at ultra high to all the way up at ultra low, so you guys could see quite a bit of increase if you guys are up in the high and very high range. Just turn this down all the way. What I would suggest is honestly turn down most of these all the way and then turn them up slowly to make the game playable and the way you like it. So anti-aliasing, like most competitive games, this should be shut off or none in this case. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend turning it on even if you have great FPS already. Atmospheric quality, very similar to the animation quality. Put this on very low, turn it up if you need to, but most competitive games you can get away with it being pretty low. This resolution scaling is a weird one. The game will actually change your resolution if you have it on a dynamic mode, for example, so it will change the resolution scaling depending on how much FPS you're getting, and technically it can help with getting you more FPS, but I've found it really deteriorates the level of game, or how the game feels, so I usually just leave this up at fix 100 or something like fix 75%. So yeah, if you don't want your game to change too much, just leave it at one of these fixed options. And next one is geometry quality. It's kind of self-explanatory. Once again, it's at ultra low for most FPS. you can turn this all the way up to high. It does have a few FPS difference in between the two, so you could start at medium, but I would start at ultra low if you guys are looking for the most competitive, kind of high FPS gameplay. Next is the frame rate quality, and this can either be at match monitor, which it'll just match my monitor's FPS, which is 144, or you could just leave it at 144. For example, if you're 60, just put it to 60. So I'm just going to leave it on 144. Lighting quality, like most other games, has a decent lighting and shadow actually have quite a bit of effect on the FPS, and most people don't really care for it when it comes to competitive games like this, like Fortnite for example, or CSGO. I always set these both to ultra low. Sharpness is the sharpness of the image, so once again, a lower number will increase your FPS. So sound quality doesn't really have anything to do with graphics processing, but if you do have a lower end CPU, this can actually have an effect on it, because it will have to process the sounds at a higher rate and a higher quality, which could actually take away a few FPS. I wouldn't be too worried about it. If you are worried about it, just leave it on high and you guys should be fine. And then texture quality, once again, like Fortnite and stuff, most people play with this pretty low. If they're in the competitive scene, they like everything to be super smooth, and they don't really care about how the game runs. And right now the game isn't crazy optimized, so just set this somewhere in the middle if you're feeling a little scared. But this has a lot more to do with your graphics card processing like capabilities and how much VRAM you have. If you have a lot of VRAM, you could set this all the way up at ultra high, but if you have little to none, I'd set this at ultra low. So, and if you don't really know where to start, set it somewhere right in the middle. And then VFX quality, or video effects quality, is the quality and distance of post effects. So I haven't seen a huge increase or decrease in FPS changing this, but I have seen a little bit. Once again, games like Fortnite, most people keep this at very low or ultra low, just because they're in it for the most FPS and they're fairly competitive. Then once all that is done, you can come down here and click apply or spacebar, and then you might have to reboot your game to make all the changes possible. So go through that and reboot the game. Next, we're going to hop into Windows to change a few settings if you haven't already. Once you have exited the game for rebooting all the settings to make sure they're all good, you're going to want to do a few things in Windows here. And honestly, one of the biggest issues I hear from people is a weird FPS dropping kind of lag that they get when they're downloading things in the background. So first of all, make sure you don't have any updates for, say, on Epic Games or Battle.net. Just make sure nothing's downloading in the background. That can have a huge effect on your gameplay. Other than that, the usual, you can come into your search bar here and type in game mode settings. You're just going to make sure this is off, game mode, game bar as well, and pretty much everything off in here. It's just kind of unnecessary background things that can actually have quite a bit of effect on stuttering and FPS. And then another major thing I see people have problems with is they're not updating their drivers. For example, I have an NVIDIA graphics card, so you download all your drivers through the GeForce Experience, and actually I have one. As you can see, I'm a little late on downloading this, but make sure your drivers are up to date. I'll download this after I'm done recording so it doesn't slow anything down. But if you guys don't know where to find, if you have an NVIDIA card and you want to know where to find to update your driver, come down here, click this little up bar to bring all these tasks up, and it should be right here. And see, it even says NVIDIA GeForce Game Ready Driver Update is available. So make sure your drivers are updated. And other than that, guys, unless there's any huge groundbreaking changes in the game, this should help a lot with FPS, and I hope to see you guys out there.